Shadow of the Bat brings Batgirl into the series with a big two-part story. Part 1 has some strong setup, including appearances from Rupert Thorne, Two-Face, and more, but the heart of the episode is Barbara's, and Gotham's, relationship with her father Jim. Deputy Commissioner Gil Mason is a young hotshot in the Gotham PD. He's known for taking down multiple crime bosses in recent months due to a mysterious informant on the inside. The latest tip led the police to Rupert Thorne, who is subdued by the Batman before the police officially take him in. However, following the sting, Jim Gordon is arrested by Mason and several officers, citing evidence that he's been accepting bribes from Thorne for years. Due to the severity of the charges, the commissioner isn't even granted bail, as his friends in and out of the department come together to organize a rally in support of his innocence. Gordon's daughter, Barbara, thinks an appearance from Batman will convince Gotham citizens her dad isn't guilty, but the Dark Knight considers his presence there a waste of time, as he believes the people behind this plot need to be found and exposed immediately. He goes undercover to follow a lead and tells Robin to show up at the rally instead, but as Grayson is about to show himself, Barbara swings over the crowd dressed in a Batman suit in hopes of persuading the people that the Caped Crusader is really there. The rally is then crashed by gangsters as the younger Gordon finds herself in the middle of a shootout. I've talked about writer Brynne Stephens in these videos before, and this may be what she's most known for when it comes to Batman the Animated Series. Heart of Steel was a really strong and strange two-parter, while Birds of a Feather did a lot to humanize the Penguin, but her handling of Barbara Gordon and Batgirl is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of her work on this show. Frank Parr directed over a dozen episodes during the series' run, and he was given the opportunity to helm Barbara's crime-fighting debut. Part 1 may have been the introduction of her powerful persona, but the daughter of Commissioner Gordon did pop up before this. She had a pretty prominent role in Heart of Steel that foreshadowed her capable, heroic side, and was shown willing to take a bullet for her father in the classic episode I Am the Night. That's one of the many things I love about this show. They did a decent amount of setup for a few important characters before their transition into a more recognizable state. It definitely works in Barbara's favor, as we know her pretty well prior to her more involved stories. She even gets her own theme here. Shirley Walker, of course, was the composer on Part 1 and put together that cue for the character. It's not the most subtle theme she made for a hero or villain, but the optimism and adventure in Barbara's personality definitely comes across. Gil Mason is set up as a romantic interest for Barbara, as Commissioner Gordon tries to nudge her toward talking with him more. That's one character I wouldn't have minded seeing more of prior to this episode, but you can't do that with everyone. He's built as this young up-and-comer who, even though arrested Gordon, is still in full support of him and suggests the rally in the first place. While he has made a lot of progress attacking Gotham's underworld, Bruce isn't so sure about his methods, and spoilers, we see that something is off about him when security footage shows him duck before the gangsters started firing at the rally. Even more damning, Barbara saw the face of one of those assailants who just so happened to be at Mason's apartment when she goes there to tell him this. I think a little more mystery with Gil could have helped this story a little bit, but they do hold off on presenting the depth of his involvement until Part 2. Gordon's innocence is of course never in doubt, but it is interesting to see that not everyone in Gotham trusts him. He's made enemies over the years, and plenty of them probably work with him closely.
Maybe you don't know your father as well as you think. Maybe none of us do.
In terms of Bruce's storyline in this, we're able to see the first appearance of Matches Malone while he investigates Gordon's framing. I love stuff like this. We got to see Wayne do something similar with the identity of Gaff Morgan in The Forgotten, but Matches Malone is a more well-known alter ego, dating back to the early 1970s in the comics. Kevin Conroy uses a little accent for Matches too. It adds another layer to the performance, and I really appreciate how much he tried to disguise his voice when playing this character. All that snooping around leads to Bruce being captured by Two-Face in his most intimidating scene since his debut episodes.
Matches Malone. Heard about a new mob. Thought I could make some more dough.
There's something about you that I don't like. Nothing I could put my finger on, but I trust my hunches. Kind of like second sight, you know?
Matches is eventually KO'd a second time after losing one of Dent's signature coin tosses. Meanwhile, after seeing that Mason may be involved in the plot against her dad and Batman refusing to do things her way, Barbara officially proclaims her new identity.
Let's see what Batgirl can do.
Batgirl, sheesh. What's next, Weasel Woman?
Part 1 is a solid introduction of the main plot, with the Commissioner's framing, Bruce's undercover escapades, and that Two-Face scene being just as compelling as the debut of Batgirl. But does this story stick the landing in Part 2? Join me right here, same bat time, same bat channel, and find out on the next edition of Batmay.